March 18th, 1967. 10:47 p.m. Anthony's steady hands Martinez held a straight razor to Bumpy Johnson's throat. For 5 minutes. 5 minutes of steady, careful strokes while Bumpy sat perfectly still, eyes closed, trusting his life to a man who had every reason to kill him. The hot towel steamed on Bumpy's face. The razor moved smooth and precise along his jawline. But Anthony wasn't just cutting hair. He was deciding whether to end the life of the most powerful man in Harlem. In his pocket was $15,000 cash and a train ticket to Mexico. All he had to do was press that razor half an inch deeper. But Anthony never drew blood. Instead, he did something that would save both their lives. This is the story of the longest 5 minutes in Harlem history, and why respect is earned one choice at a time. To understand what happened at Martinez Barbershop on 35th Street, you need to understand who Anthony Martinez was. 42 years old, Puerto Rican, came to Harlem in 1945 with nothing but a razor and a dream. Anthony was an artist. Men traveled from Brooklyn, Queens, even New Jersey, to sit in Anthony's chair. He'd been cutting Bumpy Johnson's hair every Tuesday and Friday for 8 years. Same time, 2:45 p.m. Same chair, the red leather one by the front window. But March 18, 1967, wasn't normal. Anthony's younger brother, Miguel, was in trouble. Deep trouble with the Bonanno family over gambling debts. $35,000 worth of trouble. Miguel had been skimming, betting on horses, losing everything. The Bonannos had given him 2 weeks to pay or die. That was 13 days ago. Tomorrow was the deadline, March 17th, 1967. 6:30 p.m. Anthony was closing shop when Vincent "Quiet Vinny" Torino walked in. Vincent was a button man for the Bonannos, known for his soft voice and hard methods. He sat down in Anthony's chair. "Need a trim," Vincent said quietly. Anthony draped the cape, started cutting. That's when Vincent made his offer. "Heard about your brother," Vincent said softly. $35,000 is a lot of money for a barber. Anthony kept cutting, waiting. Tomorrow afternoon, Bumpy Johnson comes in for his regular shave. 2:45, like clockwork. You do what needs to be done. We forget about Miguel's debt, plus $15,000 cash. Anthony's hands stopped moving. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" One slip of the razor. Accidents happen in barbershops. Vincent pulled out an envelope. $15,000 cash, plus Miguel lives. All you have to do is cut a little deeper tomorrow. Anthony set down his scissors. His voice was barely a whisper. "Bumpy Johnson has never done anything to me, never disrespected me, never threatened my family. Bumpy Johnson is the only thing standing between the Bonannos and complete control of Harlem. He dies. Everyone wins. Except him." Vincent stood up, left the envelope on the counter. "Think about it, Anthony. Think about Miguel." That night, Anthony didn't sleep. He sat in his barbershop, staring at the envelope, thinking about his choices. Kill a man who'd never wronged him to save a brother who'd gotten himself in trouble, or let Miguel die to keep his own hands clean. Either way, someone he loved was going to suffer. March 18th, 1967. 2:30 p.m. Anthony opened his shop, set up his tools, tried to steady his nerves. The straight razor felt heavier than usual in his hands. The envelope with $15,000 was hidden in his jacket pocket, along with a train ticket to Mexico City. Vincent had thought of everything. Kill Bumpy, take the money, disappear. By the time anyone figured out what happened, Anthony would be gone. 2:45 p.m. The bell above the door chimed. Bumpy Johnson walked in, wearing his usual charcoal gray suit, black fedora. He moved slowly, carefully. Anthony could see the arthritis in Bumpy's hands, the slight limp from an old bullet wound. Bumpy was 60 years old now, not the young fighter who'd battled Dutch Schultz and Lucky Luciano. But his eyes were still sharp, still aware of everything around him. "Afternoon, Anthony," Bumpy said, hanging his hat on the hook by the chair. "How's business?" "Can't complain, Mr. Johnson." "Ready for your usual?" Bumpy settled into the red leather chair, closed his eyes. Make me look respectable, Anthony. Gotta meet with some city councilmen tonight. Don't want them thinking I'm some kind of criminal. Anthony smiled, despite his nervousness. That was Bumpy's standard joke. Everyone knew what Bumpy Johnson did for a living, but he always pretended to be just another businessman. Anthony wrapped a hot towel around Bumpy's face, covering his eyes, his mouth, leaving only his nose exposed. This was the moment. Bumpy was blind, defenseless, trusting. Anthony picked up the straight razor, tested the edge against his thumb, sharp enough to cut through bone. Anthony's hand was shaking as he began to shave Bumpy's jawline. Slow, careful strokes. The razor moved smooth and clean, removing the stubble, revealing Bumpy's dark skin underneath. 1 inch deeper and Bumpy would bleed out in minutes. Anthony could almost hear Vincent's voice. One slip, accidents happen. But as Anthony worked, something strange happened. Bumpy started talking. Eyes still closed, face still covered by the hot towel, but talking in that quiet, steady voice that had made him the most respected man in Harlem. You know, Anthony, I've been thinking about trust lately, about what it means to put your life in someone else's hands. Anthony's hand stopped moving. Sir, take right now, Bumpy continued. I'm sitting here, eyes closed, can't see anything, can't move fast enough to defend myself. You've got a razor at my throat. If you wanted to hurt me, this would be the perfect moment. Bumpy paused. But I'm not worried. You know why? Anthony's voice was barely a whisper. Why, Mr. Johnson? Because in 8 years, you've never given me a reason not to trust you. You've always been respectful, professional, honest. That means something to me. Bumpy's voice got even quieter. In my line of work, trust is rare. Most people are trying to use me, or hurt me, or take what I've built, but not you, Anthony. You just cut hair. You just do your job well and treat people right. Anthony stared down at Bumpy's exposed throat. The razor was trembling in his hand. Mr. Johnson, you what? Anthony? Anthony couldn't speak. The weight of Vincent's envelope felt like lead in his pocket. Bumpy seemed to sense something was wrong. Anthony, you seem nervous today. Everything okay? That's when Anthony broke down. Maybe it was Bumpy's kindness. Maybe it was the guilt, eating him alive. Maybe it was 8 years of respect and trust. But Anthony couldn't do it. He set down the razor, pulled off his gloves, sat heavily in the chair next to Bumpy. Mr. Johnson, Anthony said, his voice cracking. I need to tell you something. Bumpy removed the hot towel from his face, opened his eyes, looked at Anthony with concern. What is it, son? The Bonannos want you dead. They paid me to kill you, right now. With the razor, Anthony pulled the envelope out of his pocket, set it on the counter. $15,000 to cut your throat. Bumpy looked at the envelope, then back at Anthony. His expression didn't change. No fear, no anger, just calm understanding. Your brother Miguel, Bumpy said quietly. Gambling debts. Anthony's eyes went wide. How did I make it my business to know things, especially things that might affect people I care about. Bumpy leaned forward. How much does he owe? $35,000. They'll kill him tomorrow if he doesn't pay. And you thought killing me would save him? Anthony nodded, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. I couldn't do it. 8 years you've been coming here, treating me with respect, never causing trouble. I couldn't betray that. Bumpy was quiet for a long time. Then he did something Anthony never expected. He smiled. You know what this tells me, Anthony? It tells me I was right to trust you. A man who can't betray trust for $15,000 is a man worth knowing. Bumpy stood up, walked to the front window, looked out at the street. The Bonannos think they're smart. Kill me, take over Harlem, solve their money problems. But they made one mistake. What mistake? They tried to turn you into a killer. But you're not a killer, Anthony. You're a barber. There's a difference. Bumpy turned back to Anthony. Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna finish shaving me. Do a good job, like you always do. Then you're gonna take that envelope back to Vincent Torino and tell him you completed the job. But Mr. Johnson, you're not dead. Vincent doesn't need to know that. Not yet. Anthony was confused. I don't understand. Vincent expects you to disappear after you kill me. Take the money, leave town. So that's what you're going to do. Take the money, get on that train to Mexico. But instead of running away, you're going to visit Miguel. Bring him home. Both of you lay low for a week while I handle the Bonannos. What about Miguel's debt? Bumpy reached into his jacket, pulled out a thick envelope. 35,000 plus interest. Miguel's debt is paid. But Anthony, this comes with conditions. Anything, Mr. Johnson. Your brother stops gambling. Immediately. He gets counseling, finds a legitimate job, stays out of trouble. And you both understand that this kind of generosity only happens once. Anthony took the money with shaking hands. More money than he'd ever seen. Why are you doing this? Because 8 years ago you could have overcharged me, given me bad haircuts, treated me poorly because of what I do for a living. But you didn't. You treated me like any other customer, with respect. Bumpy sat back down in the barber chair. Now finish my shave. And Anthony, next time someone wants you to kill me, the answer is no. Anthony picked up the razor again. This time his hand was steady. He finished Bumpy's shave with the same care and precision he'd used for 8 years. When he was done, Bumpy looked in the mirror, nodded approvingly. Perfect as always. Bumpy stood up, put on his hat, left a $20 tip on the counter. See you Friday, Anthony. After Bumpy left, Anthony sat alone in his barbershop for an hour, staring at the two envelopes. The Bonanno's blood money and Bumpy's gift of life. The difference between the two was more than money. It was the difference between fear and respect, between using people and caring for them. 5:30 p.m. Anthony walked into Torino's social club on Pleasant Avenue, carrying the empty envelope. Vincent was playing cards with 3 other men. It's done, Anthony said quietly, setting the envelope on the table. Vincent looked up, smiled coldly. Any problems? None. Clean and quick. Good. Your train leaves at 8 hours tonight. Don't miss it. Anthony left the social club, went straight to the train station, bought 2 tickets to Philadelphia instead of Mexico. He found Miguel at their mother's apartment, told him to pack 1 bag, asked no questions. By 9, both brothers were on a train, heading south, carrying $35,000 and a new chance at life. What Anthony didn't know was that Bumpy had been planning for this moment for weeks. Bumpy had known about Miguel's gambling debts, about Vincent's approach, about the assassination plot. But instead of having Vincent killed or changing his routine, Bumpy had chosen to bet his life on 8 years of respect. March 19th, 1967. 6:00 a.m., Vincent Torino was having breakfast when 4 of Bumpy's men walked in. Mr. Johnson would like a word, one said politely. Vincent was driven to a warehouse, where Bumpy waited with a straight razor. Vincent, heard you've been trying to recruit barbers. Vincent tried to act confused. Anthony Martinez. $15,000. Ring any bells? Look, Bumpy, it was just business. You tried to turn a good man into a killer. You threatened his family. Bumpy walked around Vincent's chair. But Anthony couldn't do it. 8 years of respect meant more than $15,000. What does that tell you? It tells me he's stupid, Vincent muttered. It tells me he's honorable. Bumpy stopped directly behind Vincent. I'm going to give you the same choice you gave Anthony. You can try to kill me right now. I'll even give you a knife. Bumpy placed a switchblade on the table in front of Vincent. Or you can explain to your bosses that the Bonannos are permanently banned from Harlem. Their choice. Vincent stared at the knife, then at Bumpy. They'll never accept that. Then they'll end up like you. The difference is, I won't give them a choice. Bumpy leaned down, whispered in Vincent's ear. Get out of my neighborhood. Vincent, take your money, take your threats, take your disrespect, and get out. If I see you again, if I hear about you threatening anyone in Harlem again, that razor is going to tie your throat. And I won't hesitate the way Anthony did. Vincent left New York. That afternoon, the Bonannos made no move to retaliate. They'd learned something about Bumpy Johnson that Vincent should have known. You don't threaten a man's friends. You don't try to corrupt good people. And you never, ever underestimate the power of respect. Anthony and Miguel Martinez returned to Harlem 2 weeks later. Miguel entered a gambling addiction program, found work as a foreman on a city construction project. Anthony reopened his barber shop. Friday, March 31st, 1967. 2:45 p.m., Bumpy Johnson walked in for his regular appointment. Afternoon, Anthony. Miss me? Every day, Mr. Johnson? Ready for your shave? Bumpy settled into the red leather chair, closed his eyes. Make me look respectable, Anthony. Anthony wrapped the hot towel around Bumpy's face, picked up the straight razor. This time his hand was perfectly steady. No fear, no hesitation, no doubt. Just 8 years of respect, trust, and the understanding that some bonds can't be broken, even when they're tested by desperation. As Anthony worked, Bumpy spoke quietly. You know, Anthony, I've learned something important. It's not about how much money someone offers you to betray a friend. It's about remembering who your friends really are. Anthony paused for a moment. Mr. Johnson? Yes? Thank you. For believing in me, for saving Miguel. For everything. Thank you for proving I was right to believe. The shave took exactly 5 minutes. Same as always. But this time, Anthony knew that those 5 minutes were worth more than any amount of money. They were worth a man's life, a brother's future, and the kind of respect that can't be bought, can't be threatened, can only be earned. March 18, 1967. 5 minutes with a razor at Bumpy Johnson's throat. 5 minutes that could have changed everything. But Anthony Martinez chose respect over money, honor over fear, brotherhood over betrayal. And in doing so, he proved something Bumpy Johnson had always believed. The most dangerous weapon isn't a gun or knife. It's trust. And when you earn someone's trust, really earn it, that's more powerful than all the money and threats in the world. If this story of trust, respect, and choosing honor over money moved you, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like if you understand that real respect isn't given. It's earned one choice at a time. Share this with someone who knows that the hardest decisions reveal who we really are. What would you have done in Anthony's position? Let me know in the comments below.